YouTube. So the other day I did a YouTube video about Isun Boshi and kind of talked about other Ubers as well, and that gave me an idea. What if I kind of do a series where I talk about a lot of different Ubers? So like basically just request an Uber for me to look at, and I'll look at them, talk about them, say what I know, say my personal experience, all that kind of shit. And somebody commented on that video, and they wanted me to cover a set. I love a set, so I will not complain about talking about a set for like the 5th time ever since the true form. I have already talked about a set in the 14.4 video that I did, but I mean, I might as well do another. You know what I mean? You essentially started a series on my channel. You can sure go ahead and take credit. So a set recently on the 14.4 update got a true form. Before the true form, a set wasn't that great. I mean, the damage was there, but the range wasn't. Like, the range, the HP is good, but only 300 range while requiring the strengthen. So when strengthened with the wave, it's only like 10k DPS, right? With true form, the strengthen doesn't get any better, but the wave gets even more piercing. She gets even more HP. Her damage, even if only slightly, does increase. And she gets immunities to freeze and toxic. Two pretty, I would say, useful immunities. But the main improvement with Aset's true form is her range. Increasing her range from 300 to 350 effectively turns her into a much better generalist. She can survive much longer, thanks to the range and her HP. And, the longer you live, the more damage you're outputting. And this is very consistent damage. And don't forget, it does still have, like, what is that, 700 range pierce? So, like, pretty fucking crazy. 150,000 HP, by the way, at level 30, on something with 350 attack range, is actually kind of nuts. That's like tank levels of HP, but with 350 range. And not to mention, so what? Let's round this up to 4,000. By the way, this is at level 30. Let's round this up to 4,000. Strengthen's only after one knockback, by the way. All it takes is one knockback to get to strengthen by 50%. So 6k DPS when strengthened, but with wave, it is 12k effective DPS. Without talents, by the way, and at only level 30. So, 12k DPS, 150,000 HP, 350 range at level 30, with slightly lower than average recharge time, and very consistent attack frequency, and not very long attack force swing. Do you get what I'm saying whenever I say I really like this Uber? I really like Aset. I really like Aset. And honestly, Dogaku, I don't judge you for saying that she's hot, but saying that Kenshin looks ugly, that's where you're wrong. But yeah, she's like actually a really balanced Uber. Surprisingly, like she's really good in a balanced way. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of Ubers in the game that you can really say that about. Because a lot of them are either unbalanced and really good, or they're not really good. You know what I mean? So, like, Aset's just... I mean, do remember, Aset could have some really good talents. Like, I can't wait to see what they do with Aset with talents and such. Because she's already really fucking good. Probably one of the... She's probably still one of the lesser Almighties. But, I mean... The Almighties are all... Like, all of the Almighties are pretty fucking good. You know what I mean? Like, Aset's probably in the middle of them all. But still really good. I really like Aset. Like, damage with this Pierce and this much HP. Like, she's gonna be on the field for a long-ass time. Like, honestly, you're pretty fucking likely to have one of them on the field at all time. Zeus is useless? Okay. So this video is turning into a Zeus and, So, by the way, whenever I was talking about turning this into a series, I wanted to talk about 2 different Ubers, since talking about one doesn't take very long. So if I do 2 per video, then that'll, speed things up and also make it a little more interesting. So, look at his standing range and DPS alone. Does that really strike you as useless? 480 standing range with 6k DPS and good survivability thanks to his HP, not his knockbacks. But does this really strike you as useless? Yes, it does. No. He may be mid. He's above mid because this much range is fucking crazy. This is a lot of fucking range. This is a lot of range. And his HP, especially against angels, he can essentially tank. Say goodbye to no plan A. 6k DPS generally with this much range, like 6k DPS isn't that special. Like, people would argue it's average. But with this much HP and this much standing range, I'd say it's pretty fucking good. You're saying Bahamut is better than that? Okay. You're saying Crazed Bahamut is better than that. You're saying Crazed Bahamut is better than Zeus. Ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way you're saying the unit with 2/3 of the DPS, less standing range, much worse survivability, and much longer force swing is better. He's a better Crazed Bahamut, if anything. Almighty Zeus is a better Crazed Bahamut, if anything. Because that is fucking crazy. And, like, this guy can actually somewhat tank if things decide to push. Like, he's effectively a backlining meat shield. Or not meat shield, tank. So, like, kind of the same thing as Dogumaru, where the tanking ability doesn't really come in handy that much, but it can be helpful sometimes. But Dogoku, I don't care if Crazed Bahamut wasn't really good in the first place. What matters here is that somebody really just said Crazed Bahamut is better. That's what I'm kind of mad about. Some people are spoiled as fuck. 480 range with 60 DPS, that's a good generalist. I would be ecstatic to have this at the start of my run. Hell, I would be ecstatic to have it now. Because 480 range, that's not a very common range whenever it comes to, you know, non-Epic Fest generalists. Even including Fest exclusive generalists, you know. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't know the stats. If you don't know the stats, then why do you criticize? You know, and that's kind of why I want to do this. Not because I want to criticize people's opinions, but because I want to show people the stats. Not everybody knows stats of every Uber. They just assume things about Ubers and without knowing the truth. You know? Zeus is a worse generalist than Ragnarok. I mean, as much as I don't like Ragnarok, I do think Ragnarok's better. But something you gotta remember about Ragnarok is... Give me a sec. Something you gotta remember about Ragnarok is that they have a long-ass force swing. Their force swing, recharge time, and survivability with their HP is kind of poor. And then they also can't target trait lists. So it is kind of poor. And then also, I mean, even though it's barely a difference, 470 range is less than 480. So, like, but Zeus doesn't discriminate against anything. But I will say that the zombie killer on Armageddon is, you know, a huge strength. And by the way, we're not even talking about ultra talents and stuff because, let's be real, are these even worth it? I mean, you also can't say Zeus is worthless but he's probably one of the better behemoth slaying Ubers. Because multiply this by 2.5, that's 15k DPS against any behemoth with this much standing range and a lot of HP. That's kind of fucking crazy. Not to mention he resists, so he honestly, give him Behemoth Slayer, he can probably solo Raja Kong. You can probably solo Raja Kong with this guy. I might be wrong, but I wouldn't doubt it. So, like, I'm not going to say Zeus is better or worse than Ragnarok. It really just depends on the stage. Because, like, if there's an LDing enemy, Zeus is better, by far, because he doesn't get juggled like Ragnarok does. But Zeus also, like, does have much less damage output. So, like, he is not worth the Dark Eyes. I know, but I'm just saying he does have a use. He's not useless. You know? And then also, resisting zombies isn't necessarily bad for him, because they do burrow kind of a lot. He just doesn't have Zombie Killer. Not giving him Zombie Killer instead of Resist Weaken kind of sucks. Giving him Resist Weaken over Zombie Killer is a huge missed opportunity. Like, if Zeus had Zombie Killer, He'd probably be one of the better anti-zombies in the game, to be honest. I say one of the better. Not one of the best, but one of the better ones. Above average anti-zombie. Like, you know, Zombie Kill also could have been the third ultra talent, true. Yeah, he kind of got scammed on his talents. Resist Weaken is more of a winged piggy counter. It still only resists, though. At least give him immunity. Or then give him, like, drop resist wave, you know what I mean? Like, Zombie Killer just, you know, would have been nice. Boos are the best Mario enemy? That's kind of off topic. But anyway, YouTube, that's gonna be it. I feel like I talked about more than just 2 Ubers, but whatever. I mean, the more the merrier. So that's basically what this series is gonna be. Me showing off the stats of Ubers that people don't really look at typically. Because not everybody looks at Uber stats. A lot of people just assume things about Ubers without really knowing much. So, yeah, YouTube, if you did enjoy, please do come back for more. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.